Hi, everybody. It's Kimberly. I am an eternal life student, which simply means human. At the end of the day, that really is the only title that we need. I think people are like walking books. We each have a story to share, and by talking together, we can grow stronger together. Today, I have a guest speaker. Her name is Chasity Bailey. She is from Know Yourself Media, also known as Isabelina, the futuristic fox, and Tom's little sister. She has a new title
Yes.
today, right? Which is an
Yes.
co-author. That's awesome. And the book's name is If You Love Them, Let Them Develop, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
As Kimberly was saying, thank you so much. I am Chastity, otherwise known as Isabelina. That's just like a little pin name I have. That's what the book is under, is Isabella Rose. Um, I have a few occupations. I was a counselor for a couple of years. I have a master's in counseling. I have a BA in psychology. I don't do counseling anymore, but I certainly um, am still pretty up on the research and stuff. I still check that out. I research heavily just because that's an interest of mine.
Okay.
I'm an attorney for a Fortune 500 company. Not going to mention the name, but it's I'm I do immigration stuff, regulatory compliance control.
Oh, wonderful.
So I live in Virginia with my husband and my cat and dog and hedgehog.
Oh, you got a hedgehog? I
I
love it. What's
do.
your hedgehog's name?
Hedgehog's name's Mr. Prickles.
Oh, I love it. Mr. Pickles? That's adorable.
Mr. Prickles.
Oh, Prickles? Oh,
Mr.
that's even
Prickles.
better for a
Prickles.
hedgehog. Okay, so again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited and I'm very happy for both of you. This is a great thing to write your first book. I can only imagine the experience. And I wanted to find out from you, a little bit about what's the journey that you took writing this book, from beginning to end, first, how do you begin? How'd you come up with the topic?
So randomly, I was one morning I got woke up by a call from my big brother Thomas, and he's like, "Little sis," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Great idea." Really? How are we gonna do this? And
Mhm.
he's like, "Well, I got an idea, and we've been talking about a lot of things, in our podcast and stuff. And why don't we just collate it all and put it in a book with some new information? And I think it could help a lot of people." And I said, "Okay, we got to slow down and get kind of an outline and know how we're
Yes.
gonna go about this."
Okay.
So we did an outline pretty quickly after that, which really helped writing the book. And I would suggest anyone that does an ebook do an outline first because it really helps you with where you're going to go with stuff.
Where did you
Um,
find the outline? Did you make it yourself or did you find it online somewhere?
yeah, Thomas and I made it. It was just an outline of the topic we were going to cover.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay, so then
And
after you started the outline, what did you do next?
so we started the outline. We finished it pretty quickly actually, and then I just started writing. And
Okay.
I wrote and wrote and wrote, and we had no idea at that point how we were going to market it, how we were going to do this, how we were going to turn it into a PDF and all this. We were just writing.
Right.
About the middle way through, I started researching about how we can get this published. And
Okay.
I figured out Amazon has a direct publishing service where you really don't have to go through a publisher, like a traditional publisher. You can just put it
Oh,
on there
okay.
and publish it yourself. So that was the option that we took, and I'm sure there's other publishing services out there as well, not just Amazon, but
Right.
um,
But
that
that's
was the
what you
option we
used.
decided. That's what I used. We used, and
Hmm.
it was an experience. Writing was fun. I love writing.
Hmm.
I've written like research articles and research publications before, but this was more fun.
Yeah.
This was more creative. There's certainly some research stuff in there, but
Hmm.
this didn't have very like hard and strict rules on it like a research paper would.
Right. Okay.
So I could put more of my own voice and my own experiences in there for plus the experiences I've heard from other people that have went through
Right.
childhood trauma and how that impacts you throughout life. So
Did you ask
it
other
was really fun.
people? Like, did you
We
find
did
some of the stories of other people?
did I didn't, of course, use any names or
Right.
identify anyone. Of course, I wouldn't do that. But it
Yeah.
was more like collated data from what I was finding. A lot of people who had been either abandoned or neglected, in childhood, were
Okay.
reporting how they felt or how the relationships were going, how stuff like that was happening while they were adult.
Hmm.
So that's how we got the data from that. So it was
Okay.
all self-reported data from people that have actually experienced the trauma, which I
Hmm.
thought was a very good point to make. You get a lot of clinical books that, tell you from a clinical aspect, from a mental health aspect, therapists telling you how to deal with someone that's been through trauma, but you don't really get the perspective of someone that's been through trauma themselves talking to you about how it actually impacted them. So
Yeah.
this is a fresh take on that.
No, that's great. I mean, the the trauma's not great, but this, the idea behind it of hearing it from first person experience, not from someone else who's looking in, like the clinical and things like that. You actually get to hear what they're feeling and going through. So that's wonderful. Um, what did you end up? What? Okay, let me try this again. You as you were writing, have you found that sometimes you have to change what you originally thought that you were going to write?
Changed anything? I think what we did is when I got through, it was only like 20 pages, so we went
Okay.
back and added some more stuff in.
Yes.
That's what we had to do at the end because we knew it was needed to be longer than what we originally had it as. So
How many pages is
we
it
had a
about?
67.
Okay.
I think that's
Okay.
what Amazon put it at.
Oh,
So
that's great. Okay. What are some roadblocks that you faced while you were writing? It sounds like you guys did it pretty quickly. About how long do you think it took?
about 2 or 3 months, somewhere in between there.
Wow, that's great. That's quick. Yeah.
I spent most of my weekends just writing. That's what I did on the weekends and after work. I just wrote for 4 or 5 hours a night.
Wow.
Um, the last week I was up till 2 in the morning, kind of editing it and putting it all together and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, so it was a very quick process. It was, like I said, it was very fun. Me coming from like a clinical background, it was fun to do something from the other perspective, something that wasn't so
Yes.
clinical and so therapeutic and so, this is what you have to do for this symptom. This is what you have to do for that
Mm-hmm.
symptom. It was more giving a humanistic voice to people that had been through trauma and
No, that,
not a clinical diagnosis.
you know what? Sometimes that's what people need to hear. I talk about all the time. People are walking books. You know what I mean? We all have our own stories to tell, and I think that's what your book is allowing people to do, to speak, right? To talk about what they've gone through, the different traumas, and maybe people listening and hearing it from their point of view, they can take a different perspective. I think that would be great.
Correct.
That'd be great.
So that's mainly what I think we were trying to accomplish. We were also trying to really humanize people
Mm-hmm.
because if you go into Google and you type in some clinical diagnosis for certain disorders like cluster B personality disorders, you're going to get a bunch of people saying that they're like the devil incarnate themselves and they're
Yeah.
horrible and
Right.
a lot of this other stuff. And I'm not in the book. I made sure to say I wasn't trying to invalidate that experience at all.
Right.
That's very
Right.
valid. But I was trying to basically, I was trying to present the fact that everyone's just human at the end of the day.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's what people need to realize. It's natural. More and more people go through similar situations. They just don't know it because people aren't communicating about it as much. And your book's going to be able to show them that they're not alone. Other people have gone through it, and they may realize that this is something that they can actually start to talk to people about. It'll be great, right?
Right.
No, this is
Yeah,
really
it'll
good.
it'll
So go ahead.
I'm hoping it I'm hoping it will help. I mean, if it helps at least one person, then
Yes,
it's been worth it. So,
definitely, definitely. So do you think you're going to write another book?
I think we definitely will. It was a good experience. I liked it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed my time writing. It didn't I literally put in 4 or 5 hours a night, but it didn't feel like work because I like writing. I love writing. I've always loved
Yes.
writing.
Right, and the
So,
topic itself, it's something you can, it's something you can learn from, and you can use it as a lesson for other people, which is really good. And you know that it hopefully it will make a difference. So I think that will help drive you further, to finish it and to get it done. So,
correct.
ah. Okay, so I wanted to let people know again about the title of the book is "If You Love Them, Let Them Develop." This is can be found on Amazon USA and Kindle, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. This is a downloadable book, correct? I believe.
Correct. It goes straight to Kindle once you purchase it. There's no waiting in the mail for a paper book or anything.
Oh, that's
So
great. No, that's
once you
perfect.
purchase it, it's there. So
Okay. Also, I like to let people know to make sure to check out Know Yourself Media because they can see you there as well.
yes.
Right? So you're not
Yeah.
just an author, you're also a YouTuber. And,
exactly.
right? You wear a lot of different hats there. So, people got to get used to seeing your face and hearing your name around, I think. It'll be
Yes.
great. All right.
Full
Well,
disclaimer
go ahead.
full disclaimer before I leave, I have never been diagnosed with like any type of mental health issue, cluster B personality disorder, any type of anything. Just putting it out there in case anyone's curious. I've never experienced that diagnostic label. Thank God. Thank God
Right.
I've never experienced a diagnostic label.
Aw. Nope. Okay. So, but you do have a background to understand it.
yes.
So that's
Yes,
what's
and
important.
I do have I've been through the same type of abandonment trauma and everything. I'm just saying the only reason I say thank God for that is I know the stigma that's put on people with that label on them. Like you could see it in the trial now with Amber and Johnny Depp
Right.
and all that's coming to light with her. And I just feel so sorry for both of them. But yeah, the only reason I say I'm really thankful that I don't have it, it's not to disparage anyone that does. It's just I know what you get when you type in that disorder in a Google search and you hit enter. You get people saying
Oh,
some
yeah, you get
very,
a long list of,
very,
yeah,
very horrendous stuff, and that's just not how you want to talk about other fellow human beings. So,
definitely. I think, we've talked about it in the past where people have to start to look at mental health differently. It's not
yes,
the same way anymore. And like you said, it needs to be human. It needs to be more humanized and understood from the individual, not just through the clinical books, but listening and learning and seeing the different effects that happen to people. And again, I think this book is going to help people see it in a different way. And maybe that will help point the direction of new ways of doing, different types of mental health. So this will be
I hope
amazing.
I hope so. I'm hoping we're reaching a point where we can treat the underlying trauma and
Yes,
not just label people and give them some therapy based on that label because it doesn't. In my experience, there's a lot of roadblocks to that type of thing. You've got to go straight to the underlying trauma and treat that before.
exactly. Yeah. And I think another thing too is too many labels happen to people that they end up thinking, oh, this is it. I can never be anything else. Instead of realizing they're a human first. They're,
Right.
and they can still heal and they can find ways and tools to cope with whatever they're going through because of the trauma. But once they learn to identify it, that's what's going to really help, you know?
I
So,
think so. I think once they understand that no matter what label someone has put on them, they're still human at the end of it. Like you say, we're all still
yeah,
human. It
exactly.
doesn't really it doesn't matter. We're human. That's the only title. That's the only label that matters.
Right. There's nothing wrong with anyone. We've all just been through different things and have to learn different ways to cope and the tools to
Exactly.
go with it, right?
Exactly my
Yep.
point and exactly the point of this book. So
See, there you
please
go.
please go.
Okay, so I'm gonna on that note, I'm going to end our podcast, And one more time, I'm gonna tell everyone to please remember to like and subscribe, and feel free to put any comments that you'd like. Also, be sure to check out Know Yourself Media, where you'll be able to see her again. And in our comments, we will put the link to the Amazon USA, so that you can go check out that book to see the new perspective and the way that people can handle different type of trauma that they've been through. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm really excited for you and your book. This is a great thing.
Thank you for the opportunity. I am so happy that I've got the podcast with you. So thank
It's
you.
been my pleasure, and I look forward to doing it again.